Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. I know, long time no see, and welcome back to all my subscribers. If you're new here and you feel like you got a little bit of that common sense that's not so common, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And if you don't, common sense is a disease that is highly contagious. So if you just hit that like or subscribe button, you will catch it, I promise. Now, today on this channel, we're going to get a little bit into child marriages. Okay, not as deep as I want to, because I still got to preserve this voice, okay? But we're going to go over the 50 states and where they stand. But before we get any deeper, remember, I don't have any law degree, I don't have any law training, so don't come for me. But before we get deeper, first and foremost, my name is Key, and this is What's the Key?
For me, break for me, break the body for me.
Alrighty, y'all. The plants. Alright, I had this beautiful alocasia, right? I made the mistake of putting it in a pot of a plant that used to have fungus gnats.
You're not very pretty, and you're not very bright.
Yeah, you know what? When you think you clean out a pot, wash it out, it's been sitting on the shelf for over a month, you would think there's no gnats, but no. That plant came and it affected one of my pothos too. So they sitting outside because I'm not getting rid of my pothos, and I'm not dealing with gnats in my house again either. So they are currently sitting outside. And Carisha, R.I.P. to Carisha, she had to go because she caught it again. And I was like, I'm not dealing with this with you again, Carisha. I'm not dealing with this again. All right. So all I have left are these little things. And one of these leaves, you can tell, is clearly about to die. And my philodendrons. I got my mosquito bits. I got my hydrogen peroxide. I know you can't mix them together. Don't mix them together. One or the other. All right. And we going to get through this. Okay. But that is the updates on my plants. As y'all can see, I don't know if y'all can see my snake one in this video. And then Zaz over here, still doing well. I did cut him a bit so I can propagate him. But they doing well, all right? Now, let's get into it. As always, if you see me looking to the right, I'm looking at my notes. And any bell you're hearing is my cat City doing kitty things. Child marriages, y'all. When I read something that said that the U.S. did not put an initiative in place for child marriages until 2018, I was like, I say, what?
Woo, that'll do it.
2018, y'all, that don't sound real close. It was less than a decade ago that the U.S. said, you know what? We gonna go ahead and do an initiative for this, okay? We're gonna do an initiative. And I'm gonna let y'all know what that initiative is and when we get a little deeper into this. But a child marriage is when one party or both parties enter the marriage under the age of 18. So this can be a person that is under the 18 with an adult, or two people that are under the age of 18. United Nations Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights categorizes all child marriages as a forced marriage. I agree, okay? I don't care how much you feel in love, you don't need to get married yet. Trust and believe, if you're that much in love at 16, you will be in love like that at 21. It's not gonna go away, okay? Y'all hear about them high school sweethearts that have been together for years. Then y'all met them people that met in high school that wish that like, well, they were just the only person I knew in high school, but then they want to live their life after that, all right? So to me, yes, it is a forced marriage. Within a forced marriage, individuals typically lose all sexual and reproductive rights, forced to have unprotected marital sex. And not only that, forced marriage can be a form of human trafficking. I feel like it could be too.
I ain't gonna lie, me too.
I feel like it could too. You too. Think of it from this part, okay? And we're gonna bring up R. Kelly's a little bit, because when I think of his situation and just what I read, you know, I could have missed some things and things like that. I wasn't trying to get deep into that conversation. I didn't need to know too much to know I was done, okay? But in that situation, the parents were okay. They act like they weren't now, but it had went on for years. As long as in a lot of cases, as long as the adult in the situation has a little bit of moolah, that's enough to persuade some parents. And this is why I told y'all in my Arizona video about parental rights, parents don't need complete control. You need the checks and balances. You need a community. It takes a village to raise a child. Okay? There are some parents that will be okay with marrying off their child or letting their child do whatever if it's for a little bit of coin and moolah. And it's not okay, okay? So when it comes to that, human trafficking, what if the minor never wanted to get married? And then what if the parents are receiving some type of gift or the guardian is receiving some type of gift and Now this teenager has went off with this grown man, or this teenager has went off with this grown woman and is doing things with them. Because don't forget, a lot of little boys are still little boys too. And I'm gonna make sure I check myself because, you know, child marriages, they be showing you a lot of girl brides, but men too, little boys don't need to be getting married either. Moving on. Now, Equality Now, on June 17, 2024, and their partners advocate that the minimum age for marriage should be set at 18 with no exceptions. For different states, they have exceptions in place that it could allow someone to get married under the age of 18. Even if they say it has to be at 18, they still have those exceptions. So to me, as long as you have exceptions in there, you're still allowing child marriages. Am I right?
Makes sense to me.
There are currently only 13 U.S. states that meet this standard. 13 out of 50. 13 out of 50. And y'all know what's funny? With this whole China and U.S. situation that's going on, they said China is Kendrick and U.S. is Drake. And y'all don't know how hurt I am to be Drake right now. But we Drake. All right. And then they was like, we got a bunch of PDFs in power anyway in the U.S. Could explain why we only have 13 states that say 18, no exceptions. Okay, there was just a senator, and if I find him in the article, I'm gonna put it in here, that just got caught with it just recently. A senator. Yeah, I'm gonna put it in here. Don't worry, I'm gonna put it in here. Okay.
Y'all. So he's from Minnesota, ex-senator. He was caught by a detective who was pretending to be a 17-year-old girl. And just look at this picture of him coming out the courtroom, just looking like he looking.
Stop acting like a fucking hooligan.
Now, so that leaves with 37 states. The child marriage is currently legal. Like I said, we're going to go into those in the states individually. So we're going to go into details about states right now. Okay. And then there's 20 U.S. states that do not require any minimum age for marriage with a parental or judicial waiver. So as long as that parent or a judge signs off, because, you know, a person can be in a foster care or ward of the state. I really hope that's the term for it still. A ward of the state. And it can be signed off to go get married. Or also, I believe maybe if they're emancipated. But I feel like if you're emancipated, that should automatic. No, if you're 18, you should be 18, regardless if you're emancipated or not. So yeah. So I guess emancipated individuals too would have to also get that judicial signature in order to get married under the age of 18. So between 2000 and 2018, there were over 300,000 child marriages.
What the fuck?
That is crazy. That is crazy. Now, I know in some cases, some of you are going to be like, well, some of these are 19 and 17-year-olds and maybe about, wait until you're 18. What the fuck is so hard? 19, just wait till you're 18. Most of the time, that's when you graduate high school. Or you're going to your first year of college. Just wait till you're 18. Like I said, if you're so deeply in love then, that person, you will be deeply in love with them later. Some people in cases will want to marry you when you're young because they know you're a little bit naive. And they want to make sure that they keep you under this naiveness. Or have a sense of control of you when you start to open your eyes and see other things and want other things and things like that. Okay? Yes, even younger people can do it too. So there's no reason to be married under the age of 18. There isn't.
I said what I said.
Now, the vast majority of these were young girls to older men. And this is why Doechii said you straight men are a red flag. Because what? A vast majority were older men to young girls. You got older men who, women around my age, we don't want you. Because we see what's wrong with you. We see the immature behavior. We see whatever childish or whatever misogynistic things you got going on. And so y'all try to look for somebody younger who you feel like you can train. And that's why y'all married them young girls.
I said what I said.
They typically sound like they're still stuck in high school. Or stuck in a lower college age. Okay? There's a reason. Now, there is a statutory rape exception when it comes to all this, okay? Now, statutory rape is when one of the parties involved in the sexual activity is under the age of 18. Okay, so basically this is what you're allowing statutory rape to happen when you allow these older people to marry these younger people. Okay? That's what it is. It's a statutory rape exception. Is it not? Is it not?
I need an answer ASAP.
Marriage is the only thing that makes that exception. There has been 19-year-old boys that have gotten in trouble with 17-year-old girls and vice versa. It's a big deal when you're not married, but when you are married, all of a sudden it's okay. Child marriages allow statutory rape exceptions, and that's not okay. I don't think any parent, any judge, any guardian, anyone needs to be signing off on whether somebody else can get married. And I don't think a child, honestly, you need to wait till you, if it was me, if I was in charge, marriage would be set to 21.
I said what I said.
I need you to go wild out from 18 to 21. And you don't need to be getting married. 19, 29, you can wait. But I get the religious push. I understand the religious pushback, but I still just don't, it's not a good enough explanation for me. So they did have a United States code that was amended by the Violence Against Women and Reauthorization Act of 2022. And this eliminated the statutory rape defense, okay? A similar defense still exists in the military code. So in the military code, there still is you can still use statutory as a rape as a defense against child marriages. Good old military. Our military is still doing it. Why would the federal government not do it? But the military, from what is very family oriented. They try to be. All right? So Equality Now also stated that similar exceptions under state law suggest that the government condones the practice of sexual activity with a minor. Okay? They said it gives predators an incentive to basically force a child to marry them. And it also becomes this get out of jail free card for them when they want to mess with children. So my thing is, so are we seeing in the data, are we seeing a correlation of older people marrying younger people, and then when them younger people become an adult, divorce them and then marrying a younger person again? Is that what we're seeing as a pattern? I believe if you believe this is something that is happening, it should be able to show up in the statistics. How long is this person staying with these people? Who is the older person getting remarried to when they are getting remarried? How are they acting once that child becomes an adult? Are they leaving that child? Are they treating them different? Questions that need answers.
I need an answer ASAP. Give me an answer. Ow.
Okay. So Unchained at Last. Now, Unchained at Last has found that parents typically play an important role in facilitating a forced marriage. Like I said in the beginning, okay? Which makes the escape even more difficult for the child. So now when you know your children, your mom or dad or whoever is getting paid and etc., or got paid and got this and is all for the marriage and pushed you for the marriage, how do you just leave? How do you go to talk to someone about just leaving without them trying to push back and tell you need to stay? You can't.
Life could be worse.
No, not really. This is the worst.
This is the worst.
This is the worst.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Unchained said that adds a deep sense of betrayal to the child. It makes it even more of a traumatic experience. Like I said, you don't have anybody on your side. The people you would go to talk to about it would be just push you to stay in it, and that's not okay. Unchained stated they have also seen parents use forced marriages, these child marriages, as a form of conversion therapy.
Just makes no fucking sense. I mean, it's just bullshit.
And if you ain't looked at my last video, I believe it's the last video, I had just talked about a state eliminating conversion therapy for children under the age of 18, okay? They are saying that parents are using the forced marriages and making their children get married to the opposite sex just to make sure they aren't gay. Let me tell y'all something. One thing's for sure, one thing's for certain. A gay person, if they gay and have that sexual shit, they are going to act on it. They are going to act on it. I know y'all done seen that show. They are going to act on it. I don't care if the acting is just them watching a video of the thing they like and doing it, playing with them. They're going to act on it. And if you don't think that them masturbating to whatever could not affect the marriage, it can, because when they start seeing what they like, you not gonna be what they like, and y'all ain't gonna be happy in the bedroom. What is up with this idea of making somebody have sex with opposite sex? They just gonna change it. What if somebody just came up to straight people and started making them have sex with gay people just to tell them, make sure you're not gay? You would look stupid. You would feel stupid. You'd be like, well, why I gotta do this? I already know. Ding, ding, ding.
I need some people's brain cells to start kissing and create a connection so that way we can utilize comments. Like, blow the dust off of your common sense and utilize it, please. Like, this is not okay.
They also, in Unchained, they specify that this can happen at any age. Any age. Any age. Meaning a 9, 10, 11, 12-year-old. Yeah. I think when we start pushing the numbers back a little bit for child marriages, maybe people will care more. People hear 16, 17-year-olds, What about that 9-year-old girl? That little 10-year-old boy? Why are they doing full wife and husband responsibilities at a young age?
I need an answer ASAP.
All right now. Unchained has stated that anytime in this marriage, it can become a forced marriage if they can't leave when they want to leave. So then, boom, now you have a forced marriage instead of just a child marriage. You have a forced child marriage. They said divorce can seem impossible for some, especially those in communities where divorce is shameful. And this is where they talk about religion people. In case y'all don't know, the religious people have a big fight back against putting child marriages laws in place. Yeah, Republicans and religious people are the two biggest people who have a pushback in this. It's crazy. And they say those who are trafficked to the U.S. as part of their forced marriage often are constrained by their immigration status if they try to seek a divorce. So then that puts them in another predicament, okay? It makes me think of Passport Bros a little bit.
Yeah, bitch.
I ain't saying when they're doing this human trafficking. I'm not doing some situations of people just wanting to get the fuck away once they get here and they don't care. I remember one girl actually went back to her country. She said, I'd rather be where her country is. I ain't gonna talk down on her country. That's her country. She can do it, but I'm not. Than with this man in the U.S. Passport Bros out here dang near human trafficking. Just saying. Individuals who try to resist or escape a forced marriage often risk honor, violence, and including ostracism during their wedding night. They say that the person can feel like they're raped over and over again, starting from that wedding night. Repeatedly, every single time, starting from the wedding night. Imagine being in a marriage and feeling like that from your honeymoon. Yeah. The U.S. is one of 193 countries that have promised to eliminate forced and child marriage by the year of 2030 under United Nations Sustainable Development Goal. Okay? And we're going to get into this goal. This goal is not worth a damn. So, on H.R. 1606 on March 8, 2021, the bill states, we're going to go over this full bill. A bill to amend the Child Abuse and Prevention Act to require a study and report on marital age of consent. That was a summary. The bill, Enforced Marriage Child Act, Section 2, study and report on marital age of consent. In the bill. End of the fucking bill. That was it. That's what the U.S. did. That's what the U.S. did. Okay? Whew. In 2018, Delaware passed legislation raising the minimum age to marry to 18, becoming the first state to ban child marriages. Delaware, shout out to you, but only a couple claps. Nigga, y'all still had to wait till 2018. But still, shout out to you for being the first one. Just a couple claps, though. All right? It was followed shortly by New Jersey, and then since Pennsylvania, Minnesota, Rhode Island, New York, Massachusetts, Vermont, Connecticut, and most recently Michigan have raised the minimum age to legally wed to 18. Honestly, I think that's a little old. The most recent, I believe, is Ohio. Now, I'm going to put this little quote in for West Virginia Senator Mike Stewart, who was among those a Republican who voted against the passed bill that West Virginia would have had to raise the age of 18. And his quote was, he said that his mother was married when she was 16 and 6 months later I came along. I'm the luckiest guy in the world, according to the Associated Press.
Okay. Whatever that means.
You don't think you came along when she was 18? Maybe 19? I would really like to know if his parents, how long they stayed together, if they're still together. Just, good questions like that. Because he doesn't say anything like, and they're still together and still happy. No, he just says, I came along. He just was happy that he was born. That's all I heard from that quote. Earlier this year, in 2023, for instance, a bill that would have prohibited minors from getting married in West Virginia was rejected by Republicans in the state. Some opponents of the bill argue that teen marriage is part of the West Virginia's culture. Having teens married is part of West Virginia's culture. They said it, not me. I'm just reading it. Disgusting. Why is that a culture thing? Why is something with children doing an adult more like activity a culture thing for y'all? I get everybody get married young, but child marriages, it's like a cultural thing. Or are you wanting to say us looking for younger people who are naive and stuff that we can marry and control more is a cultural thing? Is that what y'all say in West Virginia? That's just what I'm getting. This is what I'm getting. Okay?
I ain't gonna lie, me too.
In Wyoming, Republicans, meanwhile, pushed back against state legislation raising the minimum age of marriage to 16 because they said it could limit parental rights and religious freedom. Because, sex before marriage. And you want to have sex with somebody, so you want to get married to them. I'm not a good enough. It's not a good enough. It's not good enough for me. And parental rights? So? Why do your parents need rights to marry you off? They don't need that right. It's not a necessary right for parents. They don't need to have the decision to marry you off.
I said what I said.
Before the age of 18. Some of y'all be thinking everybody like and agree with everything that their parents do, say, etc. And they don't. In 2017, New Jersey Governor Chris Christie, Republican, similarly vetoed a bill banning marriage for anyone under the age of 18 in the state because it would conflict with religious customs. And in the religious books, apparently, you have to be a child to get married. Why y'all want children effing in high school? That should be something you're trying to stop. Trying to hold off. All right, so here's a quote from Ann Warner, interim CEO and president of the International Center for Research on Women. She said, there is some perceived threat to religious freedom, and now I'm trying to figure out what that is too. And Miss Warner, when you find out, let me know. Because I'm trying to figure out what the threat to religious freedom is, and nobody said you couldn't practice. It's part of y'all religious practices, marrying off children or marrying younger people. Is that in y'all books? I'm so confused how you still can't live your religious life if you're not married as a child. Outside of the sex. Why y'all want to do it so bad? We'll get a little bit into it because Utah has a little thing in place for how they're doing their child marriages, and we'll get more back into religions then. All right, let's go into the states and see what their current ages and things are. Alabama, current age, 16. Alaska, you must be 16 or older. What's crazy is, you're telling me somebody get married at 16 but can't smoke or drink till 21? Then you got hunting license, fisher's license, and join the military at 18. But you can get married at 16.
No.
Arizona, 16 or older. 16 seems to be the general age where they feel like people can make the decision to get married. A sophomore or junior in high school, they said, yeah, That's the brain decision. You ain't took your constitution test or anything yet, but you ain't graduated from high school, although having a child, getting pregnant and stuff can make a person drop out of high school. But we learning right now that the U.S. don't give a about education. I've been telling people for years, U.S. is the lowest on the list. To be the richest country, we have always been the lowest on the list when it comes to education. Always. But you're gonna have these people get married, risk could possibly have a child, drop out of high school, not go to college, not go to technical school. Why they had to go into the job force? They currently do have a bill, House Bill 2528 in Arizona, that will raise the age to 18 with no exceptions. So we'll see if that passes. Arkansas in 2019 and 2021 both attempted to raise this age. Okay, their age is 17 or older. But if you're pregnant at least 16, you can get married. This could be some of the religious freedom they are referring to. A younger person gets pregnant and then they get married, and then they're married before the child is had. That way the child isn't I don't know if I can say that on bastard. I don't know if I can say that on YouTube or anything like that. Maybe they're thinking of that. In that case, I can see maybe that being a little bit of religious freedom. Like, hey, we really don't want our child out of wedlock and stuff. It's our marriage and blah blah blah. And yeah, I think. No, the defense I gave them isn't a defense. Because just because you don't want your child to be a bad whatever, you still committed to sin and having this out of wedlock. If you were so stuck onto your religion, you want to do it outside of wedlock. So don't talk to me about religion once you get pregnant. So next is California. California was working to make the age to 18 with the Assembly Bill 2924. At first, I was like, wait, did this die? I don't understand. It has such a strong vote. Like, when you look at legislation, there is such a strong vote for this bill. How did it die? It's not dead. It is currently being stalled because Assembly member Ash Carler of San Jose called for amendments that critics argue would undermine a pivotal bill. So he's trying to amend the bill basically he's probably trying to make it so he can look at minors and get married to them. That is what he's trying. Yeah, I'm blamely putting that out there like that. Allegedly. Okay? He's trying to make the bill so that he can have a chance to still mess with minors, while everybody else is like 18 or older. So he is making this bill stalled. So everybody go ahead and look at a picture of Ash Carler of San Jose. California, look close. Because what? The California Teacher Association and the Legislative Women Caucus support the bill. First of all, y'all need to be listening to teachers anyway. Teachers said this bill needed in place. Put this bill in place. I wish there were more men groups out here fighting for, like, even if y'all groups had to, y'all city is used the bathroom. I ain't go. She got quiet. Business to these people. But yeah, I really wish there were more men groups out here trying to help and fight, because I'm seeing a lot of women groups. We see our usual groups and things like that. I just wish there were more men's group, like Men's Against Child Marriage, and they're out here saying, hey, we also believe it's for predators to want to touch on children, etc., etc. Okay, I wish there were more men groups. Colorado, all right, has House Bill 19-1316, which passed in 2019, that made the age to 16. So in 2019, they decided to set an age in Colorado, okay? I don't understand why they stopped at 16. I don't understand this 16 thing. Why is 16 what is 16?
When you hear yourself say that, does that sound like it makes sense? Does it sound like it makes sense?
Hey, Connecticut became the 9th state to ban child marriages in June 2023. Okay, House Bill 6569 changed the age from 16 to 18. Okay, no exceptions. Delaware, we already know, they were the first to ban it back in 2018 with House Bill 337. And Florida, they, in 2018, created the age of 17. Remember, I told y'all 2018 is really when the U.S. decided to start doing something about child marriages. Florida made the age of 17. You almost there, Florida. Not quite. Hawaii, currently anyone over the age of 15 could get married, okay? And in 2025, they had several legislations, several bills that were introduced to make the marriage over 18 with no exceptions, okay? We got Senate Bill 28, House Bill 729, Senate Bill 560, House Bill 647. All right, that's a lot, right? Let's see the statuses. House Bill 647 is awaiting action in the House Health Committee. House Bill 729 passed the House, and now House Bill 729, Senate Bill 528, and Senate Bill 560 are all waiting action in the Senate Health and Human Services Committee. Okay, so at the end of 2025, it could be possibility that Hawaii makes their age from 15 to 18 with no exceptions. Hawaii, become number 14. Come on. Go ahead and bring it over. Become number 14. And Health and Human Services Committee. Why is it stalled here? Health and Human Services. Why is it stalled there when it's something that comes to child marriages? Y'all better quit playing with me and pass that bill. Idaho made their age 16 with House Bill 466, and they did this back in 2020. Okay, they set an age. Illinois is the age of 16. Now my state disappointed me. Okay, but now in 2025, because we gonna get with the picture. Y'all late. Illinois, y'all should have been the first ones. I'm not gonna play with y'all. Now in 2025, House Bill 1744 has been introduced to raise the age to 18. Okay, it is currently pending. Indiana, in 2020, they raised the age to 16, and they had two legislatures. And at that time, they had two legislations that were going through that could have raised the age to 18 with no exceptions, but they didn't pass them. Kansas, 15 and older, they can be married. There was House Bill 2026 was introduced in January of 2025 to raise the age to 18, and it is currently pending in the Federal and State Affairs Committee. Okay, so Kansas is trying to raise their age to 18. Why do I feel like since they have theirs at 15, theirs is only going to get raised to like 17 or something? I feel like that's going to be the balance, and it needs to just go to 18. I don't understand why y'all want minors to get married so much. Kentucky is 17 years or older. Louisiana. So in 2019, Louisiana passed a law to make the age 18 with Senate Bill 172. Why these niggas go back and amend it to 16?
Death to all of them.
They passed it and went back and made it 16. One of the senators was like, nah, man, I just saw one of these young people. I gotta get a piece of that. We gotta change this age to 16. Because what?
Fire everybody and escape now.
Maine, okay? They passed it to the age 17 with legislative document 443 back in 2023. So Maine did not have any type of age until 2023. No wonder people be moving all over to get married. Makes sense now, right? Maryland had House Bill 83 and Senate Bill 89, which were passed in 2023, raising the age from 17. You must have your parent consent unless you are pregnant at the age of 17. But, of course, like there's exceptions. Like there's an exception in place right there. So, yeah. Massachusetts became the 7th state to ban child marriage with no exceptions in 2022 with House Bill 1478. Good job, Massachusetts. Michigan, 10th state to end it with no exceptions in September 2023 with House Bill 4302. Go ahead, Michigan. Minnesota, 4th state to pass with no exceptions in 2020 with Senate 1393 and House 745. Both of those bills, good job, Minnesota. Mississippi, no age limit.
Be nice. I'm finding it.
All vibing and going through and applauding, and then Mississippi came in and said F it. In 2020 and in 2025, they tried to set an age limit and they got stopped, banned for whatever reason. They didn't get pushed through.
Fire everybody and escape now.
Missouri, 16 and older. In 2025, they had several bills introduced which would end marriage before 18 with no exceptions, including Senate Bill 66, Senate Bill 631, House Bill 1200, Senate Bill 43, and House Bill 737. House Bill 737 is waiting action in the House Fiscal Review Committee. Okay, so I don't know how the fiscal ain't that money. Why are we worrying about a budget when it comes to child marriages? Are they losing money on not allowing grown people to marry children or something? Y'all getting paid judges? What's going on? Senate Bill 66 and Senate Bill 43 both passed the Senate and both are now awaiting action in the House. Senate Bill 631 is awaiting a committee assignment. House Bill 1200 was unanimously voted out of the House for the Children and Families Committee and now goes to the full House for a vote. HJR 60, which would change the language in the state constitution to say marriages between two individuals who are 18 years or older, is pending in the House. They're trying. Okay? Missouri's trying. Okay? They got several bills in place. Several to raise his age and set the set age to 18 with no exceptions for child marriages. Okay? Montana, current age is 16. They had a bill back in 2019 introduced to raise the age of 18, but it did not pass. Nebraska and Nevada, 17 and older. New Hampshire, May 2024, the 13 states to ban child marriage. Okay, so that would make them our latest state. Okay, I think earlier I said Ohio is, no, it's not Ohio. New Hampshire was the latest state. New Jersey became the second state to ban in 2018 when Assembly Bill 865 and Senate Bill 427 came out. They said, you know what? Y'all saw what Delaware did. Yeah, we can go ahead and do that too. New Jersey. And they next to each other. So that works. New Mexico, no age limit.
Fire everybody and escape now.
So they did have House Bill 242, which was introduced in 2024, but it did not pass. It died in legislation, okay? New York became the sixth state government passed. And you know what? We'll give New York a longer applause. You know why? Because New York seems to be on it when it comes to... Just within this last decade, it seems like New York is always on the side in our videos for, yes, good job, New York. So New York gets a couple more applauses, okay? I have not to... outside of to be critiquing the Clean Slate Act, there's not many times where I've seen New York on the wrong side. But maybe that's the advantage of having all the different boroughs and them basically running their own governments in each city. There's more checks and balances. There's more people making decisions. There's more voices able to be heard and spread and etc. like that when you do it that way. So Assembly Bill 3891 and Senate Bill 3086 were passed in 2021, making the legal minimum age to marry 18. This was inspired by survivor Nayla Amin, and I'll put her picture here. Okay. North Carolina, current age of 16, raised, and North Carolina did raise it from 14 back in 2021. So they did have it at 14 in 2021, they made it to 16, and I'm not giving you a clap for that. Okay? No, it's still a minor. Okay, with House Bill 41 and Senate Bill 35. I can't even think of doing the slow cap. Because, 14 to 16, whoop-de-woo. North Dakota is 16 and older. Ohio is 17 and older as of 2019 with the passing of the House Bill 511. All right? Oklahoma, no age requirement. So they out here like Mississippi. Mississippi, Oklahoma, both get y'all those incest vibes. Just saying.
I want to hear that. Because first of all, how do you know? How do you know that that's true? How do you know that...
Just saying. Okay, moving. So they have no age requirement, but they currently do have Senate Bill 504 that is waiting action in the Senate's Judiciary Committee. And it would end all marriage before 18. In 2025, bills were introduced which would allow 16 to 17-year-olds to marry if they were emancipated. One bill allows 0 to 15-year-olds to marry with judicial approval. What the fuck the judge got to do with a 0 to 15-year-old? Okay, let me finish reading. One bill allows the 0 to 15-year-olds to marry with judicial approval if the girl is... No, fuck that. It still don't make a difference. Why are you making a decision if the girl is pregnant or has given birth? Both bills are waiting action in the House. If y'all pass those bills, Oklahoma, don't piss me off.
Stop acting like a fucking hooligan.
Don't piss me off.
0 to 15? Y'all see? I keep saying 16 and saying y'all need to hear that they're allowing 6, 7, 8, 9, 10-year-old girls. Some girls start their period as early as 8, 9 years old, can get pregnant as early as that age.
So they're allowing 9-year-olds to be married and then have statutory rape all up in their marriage. Oregon, 17 or older. And in 2025, they have introduced a bill, Senate Bill 548, to end all marriage before 18 without the exception. The bill passed nearly unanimously out of the state and is now awaiting action, okay? And as of March 11th, when I took these notes, that bill was still pending. Pennsylvania, third state to ban child marriages. They passed House Bill 360, Senate Bill 81 in 2019 to do this. Shout out to the Northeast. Because clearly them up there, they didn't solve some shit. And Pennsylvania is one of them states where they don't play about the kids. They said, y'all weird for the rest of the country. I guess we're going to have to start this off in the corner and let it trickle down. Rhode Island, fifth state to ban it in 2021. Like I said, that section up there with House Bill 5387 and Senate 398. Okay, South Carolina is 16 and older. Senate Bill 25 is awaiting. They currently introduced Senate Bill 25 and it is waiting action in the Senate Judiciary Committee, and this will end all marriage before the age of 18. South Dakota is 16 and older, and in 2024, House Bill 1154 was introduced to ban child marriages, but it did not pass. Why, South Dakota?
Give me an answer.
I'm tired of y'all. Tennessee, 17 and older. Texas, 16 and older. In 2025, House Bill 168 was introduced to end all marriages before 18 without exception. It's pending. We gotta figure out where it's going, okay? Utah, in 2019, House Bill 234 raised the age to the age of 17. In 2025, lawmakers have introduced Senate Bill 76. And this will allow close in age exception when it comes to child marriages to 4 years from 7 years, meaning 16 and 17-year-olds can marry someone no more than 4 years older. Now, back when I said I thought Utah had the religious thing, I read this wrong. Because I read it as if they only had like a close exception. Utah doesn't justify any religious thing either. A 16-year-old can marry a 20-year-old, a 17-year-old can marry a 21-year-old. 17-year-old can marry somebody that drinks alcohol. Even though Utah's a pretty dry damn state. Boys are going off to college, girls are going off to college, coming back and looking at 16-year-olds. And they're going to try to say it's a church thing, is to stay inside the church. That's what they're trying to do. Their religion, if this quiet as it's kept, is dying out in Utah, okay? I know for sure in 2024, just the last year, about only 40% of the people were considered Mormon or LDS. Or FLDS. Any of those. Mormon, LDS, or FLDS. The remaining were either implants or children who grew up and said, I am so traumatized by what I dealt with in the church. Their words, not mine. You're trying to make people stay in your religion. Because you're trying to get these older people to marry younger. Why? At this point, when you turn 21, why do you want a 16-year-old?
I need an answer ASAP.
There's no justification for this. So Senate Bill 76 passed both the House and the Senate. So this bill has passed and is waiting the governor's signature. This is the way I feel like they're trying to keep their religion alive and strong. You get the older ones who've been preached to enough and taught enough and more stuck into their religion, with the younger ones who have access to social media and more of the freedoms that other people have nowadays. And at least to when you got them at the age of 20, 21, you got them more stuck in your religion. So if you get them with the young people and get them to marry off with them, now you got your young people sticking into your religion. And I'm going to tell you like this, Utah. One, the young people aren't sticking to your religion anyway. They're already out there doing it. Two, a lot of them have been getting divorced and being extremely depressed. And there's some people that are still married to this day that are unhappy as hell. That is one thing I don't understand. There are so many couples in Utah married unhappy as hell because their religion is just, It's such a shame and dishonor if they get divorced. You got your lavender marriages out there. Yeah. Utah is really good at, we all have an image, but as a black person who stayed in Utah, people saw me and felt they could be open. So I got a lot of honesty out of the people in Utah. Okay? We ain't gonna get into the amount of abusers in Utah. All right? Vermont. Age stands to ban it without exceptions with House Bill 148 in April of 2023. One clap. Good job, Vermont. Virginia, first southern state to raise the age to 18. Because you know them southern states seeming, all of the states have all been up towards like the northeast area. So Virginia brought it down a little bit. So, okay, we'll start this off. We'll see if Alabama and them will follow. Probably not. But we'll see. In April 2024, they passed House Bill 994, making it the 12th state to ban child marriages. So Washington became the 11th state to ban child marriages with House Bill 1455 in March 2024. Okay? So last year, West Virginia, 16 or older in 2003, and they did this with House Bill 3018. So they decided in the era of 2023, 16 is cool. In 2023, they decided 16 was cool. And that's what concerns me about some of these bills. Some of these are like recent, within the last 3 to 4 years. We didn't have Nickelodeon and all this stuff come out. And y'all are still setting the ages under 18. They did have a bill in 2024 in West Virginia that was introduced to raise the age to 18, but it died. Okay, it did not raise. We didn't end up raising the age. Wisconsin is 16 or older. They had a previous bill in 2024 that would have raised the age to 18, but it died in legislation. Okay, Wyoming. That was Wisconsin, Wyoming. 16 or older in 2003 with House Bill 7. And again, why is it 2023 where you decided to make this age 16? When in 2018, Delaware became the first state to ban child marriages with no exceptions. 2021, the federal government started doing statistics on it. And then in 2023, your dumbasses, such as like Wyoming and West Virginia, said, yeah, we'll still keep it minors. All right. And that brings us to the last state. Wyoming was our last state, y'all. And that brings us to the end of the video. So let me know your thoughts in the comments, of course. Do y'all feel like marriage is something that could happen under the age of 18? And if you do feel like it can, do you feel like it can happen with somebody that is under 18 and older than 18? Or do you feel like it should only happen with two people that are under the age of 18 together? Okay? I want to know y'all thoughts about that in the comments. And yeah, I'm just happy to be back, y'all. I'm happy to be talking, being passionate. I know y'all starting to hear my voice crack out a bit. It's about my limit. I can go. But that's all I have for the video. Like I said, let me know y'all thoughts in the comments. Thank y'all again for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.
For me, break, for me, break the body for me.